So, lustig und traurig. So that's another lovely little piece. And they love when they're playing. I can play Beethoven, you know. Yeah. They love when they're playing the big stuff, you know, the big time. Again, it's one of the things that there is that element of, no more than in the Tchaikovsky, you know, in order to achieve simplicity, there's quite a lot going on in technique. So again, this ability to connect tops and detach lower notes. So if I analyze what's going on in the right hand, because the G is changing and having to lift all the time, but I must sing the top notes. That can cause difficulty, that ability to detach and join within the same hand. So I've just put down a couple of, these are just suggestions, you know, there are many ways of tackling this, but so on. So I think it's important that they get this nice bounciness and independence to the thumb, you know, that it isn't, that the thumb isn't played as part of the hand, but it has its own life. It's independent, so that you're able to connect and sing these top notes, and the thumb has its own life. One of the dangers is that they play the thumb with the melody, and everything gets kind of glued and sounds stodgy. Then you get this kind of, you know, because it's the arm that's putting everything down. So that to encourage the thumb to have a life of its own. And then going back to like what we were saying with the Tchaikovsky, you can stagger them, you know, or if we've got different exercises in between one there with the, you know, you can make up your own, whatever kind of helps to encourage that split personality within the hand. And you get it in the left hand as well. You get in the second bar, third bar, where the F is repeating. You know, so in order to achieve that lovely sense, it's almost like a string quartet or something, where there's independent voices and some are joining, some are detaching. You hear a whole variety of different things. If you look up this in recordings, in Spotify or whatever, you'll hear big variety. You'll hear some people doing pedaling everything. You hear doing, you know, you hear all sorts of versions. So I'm trying to pick with the speed I've given and the articulation I put in, I'm trying to find a happy medium and to try and make it as simple as well as possible for the students. So that's the happy one, and then the merry, and then you get to the sad. Definitely slow it down, you know. And I think the pedal makes a big difference as well. There's no pedal indication in the score, so it would sound. They won't lose marks if they do that, because there's nothing in the score to tell you that they must use pedal. But I think it really. It really helps the line. It helps everything. I think there's a warmth to it as well, which really benefits the music. It does mean it is another layer of difficulty, and you do have to pedal more carefully when the harmony changes. Like sometimes the the harmony changes more frequently. It's usually, as always, not as always, but pieces in 3 time. Nearly always the first beat and the third beat is when the harmonies tend to change. So it's change, 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 change. So and again, some notes are that you've got to keep the repeating G's quiet, even though they're with the thumb. So the bumpy thumb is taking over the lightest notes. So you've got to watch that. And that means that there has to be a certain element of rotation in the wrist. So you can wobble more towards the lower part of the hand than to the upper. So it's more or less, more or less, more or less. I'll talk about rotation a bit later. That's another very important technique. Okay. And any questions in there about it? There's a lot of repetition there as well. So it looks like 2 pages of music, but it's probably more like 1 page of music.
What is actually with finger paddling? Like sometimes with the Alberti
yeah. To do. I wouldn't risk it for an exam. I think, if you're playing in a concert or something, you could just do your own thing. But I would worry that an examiner might see the semiquavers and think you should be playing semiquavers, not holding on to some of the notes. That she's talking about finger pedaling. When you deliberately, rather than use the pedal, overhold the bass notes. And I'm sure there are recordings of people doing that. But like I say, just for the sake of the exam and marks, just let's be a bit more literal about it. Any other questions about it? Okay.